In the news this week, Basil Zempilas, ethnic votes and compelling hospital heartbreak stories. Community advocate Suresh Rajan's first media appearance at WAMN News Sundowner following recent health scare.
$7 million investment into building satellites. The government's push to develop local space industry in WA.
Weapons drawn as dramatic arrest unfolded in front of police body cameras in the goldfields.
Dragon Boat Festival attracts tourism in 2 weeks of festivities along the Swan River. And later, Dr. Andrew Miller's comment.
This is The Evening News with Ivan Loom and Maliva Thorne.
Good evening. Basil Zempilas has burnt his bridges. That's the comment made by community advocate Suresh Rajan regarding the Liberal leadership situation during his first media appearance since his recent health scare. The remarks were made at the WAMN News annual Sundowner event. Mr. Rajan believes that Mr. Zempilas is unlikely to pursue the leadership position again in the near future after the situation unfolded so publicly. During his 1-hour Q&A session, Mr. Rajan also shared some heartbreaking and confronting stories about health advocacy with our guests. Here's an extended excerpt from our Sundowner conversation. Before we start, you had a bit of a health scare. Why don't you give everyone an update? What happened to you, and how are you doing now?
Look, I have a little device here that's been installed in my upper chest. It's a defibrillator and pacemaker in one. I went through a period of about a month last month and early this month when my blood pressure sat at somewhere between 70 on 40 and 60 on 30, which was incredibly low. And I recognized that and went to see my cardiologist, and he then told me that we're going to put this device in, which it's a metal device, and I'm really going to enjoy going through airports from now on. But it has 3 wires that feed into my heart, and every time my heart slows or increases, it performs the function of both the defibrillator and the pacemaker by stimulating it up or stimulating it down. So today is my first day out of the house because I had this operation not last Friday but the Friday before, and I got out and drove today, and hopefully my cardiologist won't find out.
Very hard. First, let's start with something I think a bit more current. The implosion of the Liberal Party, or so to say, is an implosion, rather a bit of a very
public
leadership stoush, and then the expose of showing the potential disagreement between the state director and the leader's office. What's happening here?
Look, it's and I have to disclose. Look, I've worked with Basil for the better part of about 30-odd years with the various things that I've done in media. He was doing the breakfast program when I was doing various things on breakfast at 6PR, and we've known each other for a long time. We regard each other as friends. Libby I got to know very well over the death of Aishwarya. However, that relationship fell on hard times, let's say, when I accused her of something, and she then proceeded to say that she rang me and privately said, so it wasn't public, that that's the reason why nobody in Parliament wants to deal with me. Which was quite an interesting exercise, because I'd been dealing with about 25 different people in Parliament at that time, and none of them had expressed any concerns about dealing with me. So look, disclose that I know both of them reasonably well. I have to say that I listened to the interview with Basil and Gary Adshead this morning on PR, and he did not come out well. He came out as being very flippant with the truth and did not cover himself in any glory whatsoever. So I think that he might have lost a considerable amount of support that he might have had in the past. I found his answers were extremely defensive, and I felt that in the exercise he's come out very poorly. I have to say that Libby's come out very well as a very strong person, and she called his bluff, and which I think is quite impressive. You know, I really look, but at the end of the day, the biggest winner out of all of this is the Labour Party. That's the unfortunate thing for the Liberals, is that this exercise has been so public, and I found Libby's answers yesterday. Did Basil tell you who the businessman was? And she said no. And yet he had indicated to the press that he would only tell her. And then he was saying, well, I wasn't sure who it was. I had a name, but I wasn't certain. And that did not sound at all like the truth. And is it Cameron?
Cam Sinclair you're talking about.
Yeah. And Cam was also, I mean, his relationship with Cam was something that he tried to gloss over, and I felt he did not come out with the truth there. You would be talking to your campaign director literally daily, so you could not argue that he didn't know. So I think the Liberal Party have found a way to implode, and they've grabbed it with both hands. And John Kerry is currently just preparing his cake at the moment because he'll be celebrating. So yeah, look, I don't think Basil has done his election chances any good. Look, I wrote to the West, a little while ago and criticised the Labour parliamentarian for Coburn who called Basil various things, including lazy. That's the one criticism you could not make of that man. He's every bloody where. Everywhere you look, he turns up. So, he's not a person that you could call lazy. He works damn hard.
Will you still be able to work with the opposition in the future based on what happened now?
I think if I was Christine Tonkin in Churchlands, I'd be having an absolute ball. I'd be just talking about duplicity. I'd be talking about issues around trust, and I think she can still get Churchlands back. She's a very smart lady, that one. She's incredibly highly qualified and a person who has very strong Labour values. So if they're looking for Labour values and they're looking for all of those things, I think she could still make a huge comeback, which means that Basil doesn't even get into Parliament.
So what are his chances, before we move on to other issues, what are the chances in your view based on after this? Do you think he will still try again for leadership?
I don't think so. I think he's burnt his bridges there, and this probably comes as very poor news for you, Sandy. He's probably going to stay in the city of Perth. so his city of Perth are stuck with him for a little while longer. I think. Look, I really don't think that. No, look, something between now and March, he would have to pull out a huge effort to get elected into Churchlands, and if he does, he would have earned it because he would have worked bloody hard in the next 3 months, but and it's going to take a lot of hard work. So I suspect that he may well quit the city job just so that he can spend time on church lands, which is what he should have done right from the start. But anyway, that's beside the point. But so I think that I think he will get elected. I think he'll work damn hard, make sure he'll get elected, and we just don't need any stuff-ups on John Kerry's part.
Okay, so in the next step about advocacy, we'll talk more about election later. But your advocacy story, this is something that a lot of people would like to hear about. So the recent issue of health, you deal with Aishwarya now. He's running politics as well. His dad is, and Sanjoy, who almost came today as well. But is there any more compelling stories you would like to share with everyone tonight that you haven't had the opportunity to?
Look, I think the one that I struggle with the most is the case of Suzanne Al-Hulul. And I'm not disclosing anything that's not been disclosed publicly already. So Suzanne is a young Iraqi lass, 27 years old, having her first baby. She has run her pregnancy at Joondalup Health Campus for the entire duration of the pregnancy. March the 18th, she has turned up to have a checkup. They've examined her and said, baby's run full term. We want to induce the birth on Friday. So this is on Tuesday. So she says at that point, can I have a Caesar? And they say, no. She comes in on the Friday, about midday. They say, we're going to use a balloon catheter. And she says, no. I've read about balloon catheters. I do not feel comfortable with balloon catheters. I want a Caesar. No, we are not giving you a Caesar. So they place the balloon catheter in her at midday, inject her, place her in the front part of the delivery area. 4 hours later, there's nothing happening, baby's kicking along. They say, we're going to shift you out of the front part of the delivery area. We're going to have someone who's going to deliver the baby now, so you're going to go to the back part of the delivery area. As she gets up, there's a sudden gush of water, all her clothes are soaked. She turns to the midwife and says, my waters have broken. The midwife says, yes, that happens, and walks off. They take her around to the back, they place her there at 4:30 in the afternoon. At 9:30 they come back and the baby is dead. Those of you who are men here, we can't understand what process then followed. The baby died at 9:30, was declared dead at 9:30 on Friday night. They left the deceased fetus in her till Sunday afternoon. They wanted her to experience childbirth of a deceased fetus.
Whose idea is this?
And they declared it. Now, this is the issue that I have difficulty with. Okay, I've found out about it because her sister's come over from Queensland, talking to someone at a training course, finds out about me, contacts me. I went to see her that afternoon, arranged a meeting with the hospital the next day. And the hospital justified all of their actions by saying it fits in within their protocols. It doesn't. The protocols online say that they will look after every patient every 4 hours as a minimum. They went 5 hours with Suzanne. But if you remember in Aishwarya's case, what happened was that we got the government to declare it a SAC 1 incident, a severity assessment criteria 1. That's the highest level of assessment that can be done by a hospital. I wrote to Amberjade Sanderson and to the Director General of Health saying I want this declared a SAC 1 incident. Now we find out that under the terms of the agreement that we have with Ramsay's, remember, Joondalup is a public hospital run by a private company. Ramsay's is a private company. Ramsay's runs that, runs Hollywood, where coincidentally this was put for me. And they used to run Peel until the death of a child there, and Peel's been taken back into the state government. Now, under the terms of the agreement that this government has got, or our government has got with Ramsay's, it is not for the health department to declare it a SAC 1 incident. It is up for the hospital to declare it a SAC 1. But once they declare it a SAC 1, they will follow the rules and guidelines of the health department. And they've chosen not to declare this a SAC 1 incident. You go figure. The amount of negligence that's been perpetrated to this kid is phenomenal, and they refuse to declare it a SAC 1. That's why I have a petition at Parliament asking for Ramsay's to be kicked out of Western Australia from every hospital.
And you can watch Suresh's full exchange plus audience Q&A right now on the WAMN Extra News Club. Subscribe and support independent local news. The Cook Government and LACConnect 60 are investing $7 million to establish WA's first satellite assembly facility, enhancing space capabilities. Announced during Perth's International Space Week, the initiative supports global satellite growth and environmental monitoring, with a 2026 launch planned. Paige Reid reports.
At the beginning of Space Week, Minister of Innovation Stephen Dawson said the government was committing $3.5 million towards establishing local satellite capability. WA Earth observation company LACConnect 60 says they will be co-investing another $3.5 million towards building a new space facility. Minister Dawson says he wants to be sure WA has as many opportunities as possible.
LACConnect 60 have already been able to work with players in Malaysia and India. They're already kicking goals from right here in Perth, and so this money will enable them to do more of the great job that they've been doing over the last couple of years.
Over 700 delegates gathered in Perth this week to discuss their ideas and explore opportunities for the space sector in the state. LACConnect 60's co-founders say having this technology will help the state better prepare for disasters.
There's a lot that we can do in the lead up to disasters or particularly events where we can provide predictive analytics from such satellite data sets, and that's why the satellite's important.
With the second satellite to follow very soon is to do a lot of that work within Western Australia. So the idea there is really to build up the local capability and augment what has already been done in the state and take it to that next level.
Since Space Week, a total of $7 million has been invested into improving the space sector in the state. LACConnect 60 say they are aiming to establish a first-rate space industry. Paige Reid, WAMN News.
The Australian Nursing Federation, WA, has announced it will not accept the government's latest pay deal. The union expressed dissatisfaction with the wage offer of a 5% increase in the first year, 4% increase in the second year, and 3.25% increase in the third year. The ANFWA stated that the offer fell short of the 20% increase their members are seeking, and they will continue to push for a better deal ahead of the 2025 state election. ANFWA Secretary Romina Rochella remains hopeful that industrial action can be avoided.
We are in the best bargaining position we have been in years. That's why I want to work with the state government so we can achieve what is in the best interest of our members, patients, communities and the state government. A fair result for all our hard-working nurses and midwives. I want to see WA become a top-tier competitive state again when it comes to wages and conditions, and that's what I believe this round of bargaining can achieve.
A man and woman have been charged after an alleged shooting on the mid-north coast. Around 7:10 a.m. on Sunday, the 17th of November 2024, police responded to welfare concerns on Rollover Road, Bago. Officers found a 32-year-old man with gunshot wounds to his arms and legs. Paramedics treated him before taking him to the hospital, where he remains in serious condition. Police allege he was kidnapped in Port Macquarie and taken to Bago National Park, where he was shot. Strikeforce Parfum recovered bullet casings and, with WA Police, arrested a 38-year-old woman and 25-year-old man in Barradonia on the 21st of November. A loaded sawn-off rifle was seized from their vehicle. The suspects were extradited to New South Wales, charged, refused bail and appeared in court this week.
This weekend, Burstwood Park comes alive as members of the Perth Chinese community gather to celebrate the Perth Chonghua Cultural Festival. The festival will run from November 30th to December 8th, 2024. The festivities kicked off with an international dragon boat race along the Swan River, featuring teams from around the globe showcasing the best of the sport. Spanning 2 weekends, the festival will include a variety of events such as high pole lion dancing, vibrant Chinese cultural performances, the release of lotus flowers, delicious food, and a business forum. This is the second major community cultural event organized and funded through the Global Connections through Local Events program by the Office of Multicultural Interest. Chonghua Association President Dr. Ting Chen is encouraging everyone to attend the free event, emphasizing that it's open to all.
And now, here is Dr. Andrew Miller with his weekly medical and news commentary.
Thanks for your time. It's been interesting to hear reports this week that Amber Jade Sanderson may be looking for a new portfolio to get away from health after the next election. And although she's a very capable minister, it is a portfolio that carries with it some very large problems that have eluded solutions from not just the current Premier Roger Cook, but also previous governments of all persuasions, being the increased demand on state public health services in the face of just not enough money coming through from Treasury to keep up with the population growth and the replacement of infrastructure that's now starting to look pretty tired. Even Fiona Stanley's now over a decade old and has seen an awful lot of use in that time. But the older hospitals certainly are in need of replacement, upgrading, and we do still need extra beds despite the gains that have been made. The federal government has attempted to step into the space by opening GP super clinics in various places, and these are not as cost effective as just funding general practice more effectively and matching the indexation of the rest of inflation in the Medicare rebates that it provides to patients when they're, for example, bulk billed. So we live in a rich country. We do have terrifically successful primary industry, and the question is how to divide those spoils. The population will expect that universal health care is part of living in an advanced country, and that this will be well funded along with things like education and security. So it behoves all politicians of all persuasions to explain how they are going to adequately fund and continue the sustainability of our universal healthcare system, which is very much a part of the Australian identity, as it should be for any country that wants to look after its own. Thanks very much for your time.
Thanks, Doctor. And now, speaking of dragon boat racing, what an exciting event to be taking place in Perth. I will definitely have to go over the next couple of weekends.
That's right. So there's a lot of different teams across Asia to compete for it. I suppose at the end of the day, it's a bit of a... You remember during the Olympics, there are a group of people also do the kayak together as well. Mm-hmm. So this is fairly similar. The beat obviously had to be the same, and you also have to roll together. If you have uncoordinated rolls, then that's what happens when the other side wins. But guess what? Today's opening day, right? And it's still very, very competitive indeed.
Well, I can't wait to see what's going to happen next. And now, here's what's coming up on 6 News tonight.
Thank you very much, guys. The top stories we're following here on 6 News. Continuing bipartisan backlash to the under-16 social media ban as Senate crossbenchers unite to criticise their short public consultation period. 6 News takes an exclusive unrestricted look inside Melbourne's Metro Tunnel as the project remains under pressure to meet the deadline of running passenger services in 2025. And North Melbourne becomes the first expansion team to win an AFLW Grand Final after defeating reigning premiers Brisbane by 30 points. You can watch live 24/7 on the 6 News YouTube channel. For now though guys, it's back to you.
Thank you very much. And that's our weekly news and current affairs. We have the latest news on our website, wamnnews.com.au.
Don't forget to subscribe to the WAMN Extra News Club so we can continue our work in the community. Full details on wamnnews.com.au/news/extra. From Melly and Paige, myself, wish you good health, good night. See you next Sunday.
Thanks for watching.